Hi there, Misha Gill with Speedwell Law. Today I want to talk about the latest lawsuit involving the estate of the late Tony Bennett, who passed away in 2023 at the age of 96. His two daughters, Antonia and Johanna, have filed suit against their brother DeAndrea Danny Bennett, who was not only Tony's personal manager but also the trustee of the family trust. According to the complaint, Danny had complete control over his father's financial affairs, both before and after his death. The sisters say he abused that authority for his own financial gain. They claim Danny benefited from self-interested transactions, unearned commissions, and even substantial loans and gifts to himself and his children, which they argue diminish the estate. One of the biggest points of contention is the sale of Tony's music catalog and his name and likeness rights to the firm Iconoclast. That deal was made shortly before Tony's death, at a time when he was suffering from Alzheimer's disease. The daughters allege that Danny took advantage of Tony's diminished capacity to enrich himself and his company. Danny's side naturally disputes this. Through a spokesperson, he has called the lawsuit baseless and says he has followed his father's wishes with integrity. He points to Tony's success and insists he has worked to preserve his father's legacy. The daughters, however, argue they've only received a modest distribution of $245,000 each, which they believe is far less than what they're entitled to. They also say items of sentimental value were mishandled or withheld. Antonia, for example, says the piano that her father promised to her was in terrible condition when she was finally allowed to see it. This lawsuit comes on the heels of an earlier one the sisters filed in June, seeking an accounting of the estate. Now they are not only challenging Danny's financial management, but also trying to remove him as trustee of the family trust. What stands out to me as an estate attorney is the issue of fiduciary duty. A trustee is required by law to act in the best interests of all beneficiaries. That means no self-dealing, no taking commissions that aren't earned, and no using estate assets for personal gain. Although those are just allegations, they would be serious breaches of fiduciary duty. And when family members believe that that duty has been breached, they can avail themselves of their remedies, and as we see here, it can turn into years of expensive litigation. The Tony Bennett case is a reminder that when you choose a trustee, you're choosing someone who will have immense power over your estate and your legacy. Naming a family member who's also financially involved with you, as Danny was with Tony, can create conflicts of interest. Sometimes the better option is a neutral trustee, such as a professional fiduciary or a trust company. And that's because it's better to avoid exactly these kinds of disputes when you can see them coming. When it is at issue, that neutrality is invaluable and you only realize it after the fact. So a neutral third party serving as trustee can be a value proposition under certain facts. Tony left behind a legendary music career and an enduring catalog, but his family is now tied up in a painful fight that risks overshadowing his legacy. Careful planning and a different trustee selection might have been able to avoid some of this conflict. If you want to make sure your estate is managed fairly and that your loved ones avoid these kinds of battles, we'd be glad to help at Speedwell Law. Reach out to us and let us guide you through creating a plan that truly protects your family.